No problem. Zabu allows you to buy or sell securities on the Altex exchange from anywhere in Uganda via USSD. Step 1. To buy, dial star 292 hash.
Welcome back from that short commercial break, and once again this is the Financial Market Show. And as we were talking about the East African bureaus in Kenya on Nairobi Securities Exchange, now looking at its current share price appreciation, actually, it currently starts at 135.00. So that's what it closed at this last trading day, which was yesterday. Kenyan shillings per share, so recording around a 3.8% gain over its previous closing price of 130.00 Kenyan shillings. So East African bureaus actually began the year with around a share price of around 167.50 Kenyan shillings, but has lost around 19.4% of that price valuation, ranking it 48th on the NSE in terms of year-to-date performance.
Well, African Breweries is the 18th most traded stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and this is for over the past 3 months. We're talking from July 21st to October 18th. But the East African Breweries Limited has traded over a total volume of 3.34 million shares in 869 deals, and these are all valued up to 432 million Kenyan shillings, and that was over the period. But this is bringing us to an average of 53,092 traded shares per session, a volume high of 1.96 million, and that was achieved as of August 16th of the same period.
Interesting, Victor. That was the wrap-up from East African breweries. Now going to one of the bottom losers on the trading day as of yesterday, we have Sasini Limited. Those who haven't heard about Sasini Limited, is actually a Kenya-based company that is primarily engaged in the production, processing, and marketing of tea and coffee. So it's involved in growing and processing tea, coffee, commercial milling and marketing of coffee, forestry, dairy operations, livestock, and horticulture. And it actually operates in 3 divisions, that is tea, coffee, and others. And the tea division is involved in growing and processing tea. The coffee division is engaged in growing and processing of coffee, and the other division is engaged in dairy operations, commercial milling, and marketing of that coffee.
Well, Sasini Tea stands under a ticker symbol of SASN. But proceeding to its share price values, we're looking at its performance as of the previous session, and it closed at a share price of 21.95 per share. And of course, this is recording a 4.6% drop from its previous closing price of 23 Kenyan shillings in the previous trading session. So Sasini Tea and Coffee began the year with a share price of 22.45 Kenyan shillings, and but since it has lost 2.23 of that price valuation, this is of course ranking it 32nd on the Nairobi Stock Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. So shareholders' worries are compounded by the fact that Sasini Tea has lost 16% of the stock's value from September 19th to
and
date.
Sasini Tea and Coffee is actually the 36th most traded stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange over the past 3 months. That's from July to October 18th, 2023. And it has actually traded a volume of around 244,000 shares in over 203 deals, valued at 5.89 million Kenyan shillings over the period. So the average of around 3,881 traded shares per session, and the volume high of 75,000 was achieved on September 14th for the same period. The table actually presents that.
But Gloria, what factors do you think contributed to the significant increase in trading volume and turnover on the Nairobi Securities Exchange?
Well, there were quite a number of issues going on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Victor. For example, looking on to
we're looking at attributed combination of so many factors. And what is your take? We're looking at possible economic factors affecting these particular entities that could lead to a rise or fall in the Nairobi Securities Exchange performance. But the increase in trading volume and turnover on the Nairobi Securities Exchange can be attributed to a combination of factors. And firstly, they might be positive, of course, and they might be indicators that influenced investors' confidence. And additionally, specific company announcements, we're looking at earnings reports or global market trends that could have played a role. So investors could also be reacting to changes in interest rates or other macroeconomic factors that impact their investment decisions.
Interesting, Victor. So why did Kenya Power and Lighting Company actually experience a substantial share price appreciation leading to the leading gainers in the NSE?
Well, the significant share price appreciation of Kenya Power and Lighting Company could be the result of various factors. So it might be linked to some of the factors I've just mentioned, but we're also looking at specific news such as strong financial results and successful project implementations. We are looking at favorable regulatory developments and investors also being or reacting positively to the company's strategic initiatives or participating and hoping for future growth and looking at all these prospects within the energy sector.
And with Safaricom actually recording the highest volume of traded shares, there could be factors driving such a higher investor interest in this particular stock. For example, Safaricom's high trading volume could be influenced by several factors. As a leading telecommunications company, investors may be tied to its consistent financial performance, which is dividend history or potential further expansion and innovation. So news related to product launches or regulatory developments in the telecom sector may actually attract increased investors' attention.
Well, despite overall market showing gains in certain indices, why do you think the Nairobi Securities Exchange All-Share Index experienced a marginal decrease today?
The marginal decrease in the NSE All-Share Index could be due to specific factors concerning stocks or sectors dragging it down over the index. It might actually be affected by profit-taking activities impacting certain large cap stocks or a shift in investors' sentiment. So understanding the specific stocks or sectors that contributed to the decline would provide more insight on the dynamics of the market on this particular day.
Well, thank you so much, Gloria. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Nairobi Securities Exchange. But moving on to our next stock exchange, Gloria, any information on the rest of Africa?
Well, we have some intriguing information concerning the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, where we also saw a very eventful day. What do you have for us, Victor?
Johannesburg has quite a history, and it is quite a tale dating back to the first South African gold rush in 1887. It has come a long way since then, and this stock exchange has played a pivotal role in South Africa's economy, with a primary function of raising capital for listed companies, creating jobs, facilitating a wealth creation, and it's not just a market, it's literally an engine room for the South African economy.
And that's right, Victor, and it's actually remarkable to see how the JSE has evolved over the time. In 1996, it's made a significant shift to electronic trading, which was a game changer. And then in 2005, it demutualized and listed its own exchange. So we could explore the impact of these pivotal movements on the JSE's operations.
Well, we did speak about these pivotal movements as of yesterday,
Exactly.
and the different creations and the different things over the years that have led to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange continue to perform the way it has. But South Africa's financial markets are diverse, and this stock exchange indeed plays a pivotal role in this ecosystem. So understanding how these markets operate, how they interact, and their contribution to South Africa's financial stability is crucial for investors as well as traders.
Exactly, and it's also essential to look at the JSE's recent performance. So on the trading session, we had over 492 million shares that were traded, with the market value exceeding 20 billion rands. And the JSE's current market capitalization actually stands at a whopping 17.1 trillion rands. So let's dive into today's trading activity, Victor, and we'll look at our gainers and losers.
Well, share performance is always a hot topic, and we need to analyze factors behind the gainers and the losers and what it means for investors. So there is much to dissect here.
Absolutely, and furthermore, the JSE indices are actually crucial indicators. So the J203 benchmark index closed at around 71,000 with a 1 week loss of 2.55%. We also have the flooding and the small cap, the large cap, the top 40, and the mid cap indexes to consider. So what factors could be influencing the performance of these indexes on the market?
Well, the performance of these indices tells a story, and it is about obviously broader market trends. So we should closely examine the factors driving these movements and what it means for both international investors. So let's not forget companies listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. There are hundreds of them, each with its own unique profile, story, and impact. From ABSA Group Limited to British American Tobacco PLC, understanding these listings is vital for investors, and each company contributes to the market's diversity and its reliance. Let's discuss how these listings are classified and perhaps pick up a few companies to spotlight.
Yes, actually, but before we pick up a few companies, what role do you think plays the market capitalization in the ranking of stocks on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange, and how could it be impacting the investors' perception?
Well, market capitalization remains crucial, and it represents a total value of companies' outstanding shares and reflects its size and significance in the market. But companies with a higher market capitalization are often perceived as more stable, but they might not necessarily offer high returns. So it's important for investors to understand how the balance of the size of these companies with investment goals can enable you to know your risk tolerance.
So, Victor, the JSE actually offers a wide range of markets, including equities, bonds, and derivatives. So how can investors leverage all these different markets and to diversify their portfolios effectively?
Well, that's an excellent question, and diversification is a key strategy in risk management. So investors can use these different markets to spread their investments across various asset classes. But this, of course, is reducing exposure to any single risk. So equities offer a growth potential, bonds can provide income, and derivatives can be used for hedging. So it's important for investors to understand their financial goals and risk tolerance to choose the right mix of assets.
So, Victor, the performance of indices like the J203 can provide valuable insights. But what factors could cause these fluctuations in these indices, and how could investors react to such changes?
Well, fluctuations in indices can result from various factors, Gloria. And these are such as economic data, we're looking at corporate earning reports, we're looking at geopolitical events. Investors should be cautious not to react impulsively to short-term index changes. And it's more crucial to have a long-term investment strategy aligned with personal goals, so they can consider adjustments based on fundamental analysis rather than short-term fluctuations.
So talking about the impact of external factors on the JSE, Victor, global events actually influence the exchange's performance. And so how should investors actually consider these external factors when making investment decisions?
Well, fluctuations in indices can result from various factors, and as I have said, it remains a vital point. So global events such as economic crises and geopolitical tension can affect the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and actually investors normally stay informed but not overreact to short-term volatility. But they should focus on long-term financial goals and diversification, and of course risk management. So it is also beneficial to consult with financial advisors who can provide insights into how global factors may influence the local market. But coming from that, I would like to discuss the future of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. How do you see it evolving in the coming years, and what innovations or trends can we expect to see in this prominent stock exchange?
Well, the future of the JSE is actually exciting, Victor. We anticipate further advancements in technology, making trading even more efficient. Substantial investing, such as, let me say, that ESG consideration, are also gaining prominence, and we might see companies listings with a focus on sustainability, regulatory changes, market transparency, and evolving investor preferences, which continue to shape the JSE's future.
Well, that was fantastic to know. And the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is a dynamic world, so the understanding comes from making informed investment decisions. So we hope those insights have come up valuable. But before we leave the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, how about a few highlights, as we promised, from their top gainers, from their bottom losers, just for a small analysis in this particular market?
Well, coming in, one of the top gainers, we have African Drone Capital Limited, which was founded actually in 1998 as a microfinance business. So apparently this company's operating segment includes advisory and management and microfinance. So it actually generates a maximum revenue of the microfinance segment in South Africa. Following its listing on the JSE listings in 2004, the company grew into a niche finance provider, providing and specializing in microfinance structured in property finance.
Well, thank you for that brief intro on African Dawn Capital. But coming into the gist of everything, we're looking at the share price, and as of yesterday, it closed at 0.09 rands, and that is per share, of course, recording a 12.5% gain over its previous closing price, which was 0.08 rands. So African Dawn Capital began the year with a share price of 0.15 rands, but has since lost 40%, and that is off its current valuation, and this is ranking it the 367th on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. So shareholders' worries are compounded, but they are compounded by the fact that the entity has lost 18% of the stock's value from September 19th to date.
Well, Victor, this Africa Dawn Capital is actually the 276th most traded stock on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange over these past 3 months, that is July to October 18, 2023. And it has traded at a total volume of around 766,000 shares in 76 deals, valued at around 90,933 runs over the period, with an average of around 12,171 traded shares per session.
Well, thank you for that insight. But moving on to the losing side, we're looking at Eastern Platinum Limited. We have rarely given any real deep insights on Eastern Platinum Limited, but it is actually a platinum group metal and a company engaged in mining. Gloria, take us through more details.
Well, looking at East African Platinum Limited, actually, it's publicly listed company incorporated in Canada with limited liability under the legislation of the province of the British Columbia. The company shares actually listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange too, and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange.
Thank you for that brief insight. But it is also worth noting that this company led the losers with a share price of 0.81 as of yesterday, and this was recording a 32.5% drop in its previous closing price of 1.20. Well, Eastern Platinum began the year with a share price of 4.48 rands, but has since lost 81.9% of that price valuation. This, of course, ranked it the 392nd on the stock exchange according to year-to-date performance. But shareholders' worries are compounded by the fact that Eastern Platinum Limited lost 39% of the stock's value from September 19th to date.
And looking at East African Platinum, it has actually had a one-week depreciation of 38.6%, a four-week depreciation of 38.6%, and a three-month depreciation of around 51.2%. When we come to the 6 months, it has actually had a depreciation of 59.5%. Looking at the 1 year update, we have 74.7% share price depreciation. Then the year-to-date performance is actually 81.9%. Quite the figures, Victor.
Quite the figure. But yet another company we want to shed some light on is Purple Group Limited. And today we're diving into the intriguing world of this particular entity. A financial services company it is, and it is listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And we are here to give you more interesting history on it.
Absolutely, Victor. Purple Group Limited is not your typical financial services company. It's traded under the ticker symbol of PPE on the JSE and part of the general financial sector. They have got subsidiaries in trading, investing, asset management. So let's take a closer look at how Purple Group has actually carved its path in this competitive industry.
Well, it's fascinating how they are operating in various financial segments. But from GT247.com and Emperor Assets Management to Easy Equities and Purple Group, each of these segments play a really unique role in their operations. So let's explore the functions and importances of these segments and how they contribute to Purple Group's growth.
Well, diversification, once again, is a key in the financial sector. And it could be beneficial for our viewers to actually understand that how these segments complement each other and contribute to Purple Group's overall business model.
Well, Purple Group is currently the 236th most valuable stock on the JSE, boasting a market capitalization of 1.04 billion rands, and that's about 0.00061% of the entire equity market. But while it might not be among the biggest players, it's certainly a noteworthy one. So, Gloria, can you tell us about their stock performance?
Certainly, Victor, the current share price of Purple Group Limited is 0.74 rands, and their most recent trading day they recorded 4.2% gain from their previous closing price. However, it's not watching that Purple Group started the year with a share price of 1.73 rands, but since have lost around 57.2% of that valuation. That actually puts them in the 384th position in terms of JSE's performance on the year to date.
It's been a challenging year for Purple Group, to say the least. But shareholders are likely concerned, especially with that significant loss. And to add to their worries, they have lost 18% of the stock's value from September 19th until now. This downward trend has certainly caught our attention. So why shouldn't we actually dig deeper into the factors that might have affected Purple Group's performance?
All right, Victor. Understanding the reasons behind their stock market performance is actually key. So a variety of factors can influence the share prices, from company-specific news to the broader economic trends. We should actually take a closer look and see what might be driving these changes, Victor.
Well, we are looking at, it is rather a broader picture, and we're looking at a basket of things that could have caused this kind of behavior within their stock. But the stock performance is certainly one aspect of the picture. So Purple Group has been through quite a roller coaster in the recent times, and it is exploring the last 10 trading days of activity. It has given us a better understanding of the stock's volatility, the volume of shares traded, and the kind of movements it has been experiencing in the period.
Interesting, and it's actually good to observe how these stocks behave from day-to-day basis, Victor. Those short-term fluctuations can offer insights into the market segment towards a particular company. We could actually closely examine these considering the recent trading activities and see if we can identify any patterns.
So additionally, it is important to take a closer look at Purple Group's profile. Operating within the financial services industry, they have a unique position in the market. We should explore the competitors and challenges they face, as well as how they distinguish themselves from others within the industry.
The competitive landscape, Victor, is actually always intriguing. It's a key aspect actually of understanding the company's position in the market. So Purple Group's peers and the dynamics of the competition in the financial sector could be an insightful discussion.
And let's not forget the importance of management. It is always interesting to learn about the leadership of a company, who are the key figures driving Purple Group, and what their vision is for their company.
As we say, leadership is always a crucial factor in the company's success, Victor. So exploring the profiles of the company's key figures and their experience and their strategies could actually give us more valuable insights.
It could. Coming from, that is all from Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But we'll be right back with more details on the Nigerian Stock Exchange as far as the rest of Africa is concerned.
Smart 24, driving business.